All right, we should be live.
Hello.
Hey guys, hopefully. If we're looking over here, it's because we're filming on our GoPro over here, and we're not used to this whole setup. Everything's very different. Let us know in the chat if the sound is okay, if the video is okay. It looks like the stream is playing just fine. Doesn't seem like there's any issues with it. But let me know if there's any delays or anything like that so I can potentially fix that.
I hope everyone's doing really good, that everyone's staying healthy, with good, positive vibes. And we kind of decided to do a bit of a live stream. We've been talking a little bit about it for a while, but I guess we've been pushing it off and off because we wanted to try to update all of you about what's going on in our life with Wildly Intrepid, but everything's so unknown in this year. 2020 is a little bit of a weird one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been so many crazy things going on. I'm sure all of your lives are impacted by everything that's going on right now. But it's definitely, there's a lot of unknowns for us, and we just really wanted to let all of you know what's going on and what we've been up to and what we're hoping to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks a little different today on the stream. I'm playing around with some new streaming software. If you're curious what everything is, I mean, basically we just have a little merch pop-up that gives you an idea that we are selling merch now over at Teespring, so if you're interested in that, go check that out. We have all of our regular stuff set up, so if you now with the add-ons that I have, if you subscribe or give a donation or super chat or become a member, any of those things, there'll be a nice little pop-up that will show you so you'll get something like this that will come up on the screen letting us know that you are a new subscriber or you've donated.
Part of the Wildly Intrepid tribe.
Yeah. And we also have a little gauge there because we have a goal to get a new drone. There's a bit of a story around a drone. We actually bought a new drone and we had to return it because we didn't have the proper software or we didn't have the ability to use the software.
Not good enough of a phone to be able to actually use the app.
So we'd like to get a new drone, and that's why I have a little gauge there where we're trying to get to $500 within, before we leave, which hopefully will be before the end of the winter.
Yes. And hi everyone from all over the place, and bonsoir à tout le monde aussi. French, English, n'importe quelle langue, on peut parler en espagnol aussi. But yeah, everything looks very different. We are not on board Wildly Intrepid, unfortunately. It's a little colder because we are back in Canada. We are actually being quarantined right now.
Yeah, on our last day.
Yes.
We are done our 14-day quarantine. We're still healthy. We're not having any trouble with COVID. And we'll be free to move around Canada again, which will be really nice.
Yeah, coming back to Canada, there's quite a bit of restrictions. Not many people are allowed into our country unless you're a citizen or really essential worker. So we decided to come back to Canada because a lot of different countries were all closed up, so it was extremely challenging and unknown to know where we could carry on and keep sailing. And as a Canadian, we only get the 6 months allowed into the US, which I'm not even sure if we fully had 6 months allowed, but regardless, we had to get out of the US before sometime in October. So we decided to come back to Canada, maybe try to make a little bit of money and reset our time allowed in the US. So this is kind of why we made it back to our home country. We're back in Quebec, not really Newfoundland, because that's where our parents are. And coming back into the country, you really have to follow the quarantine because there's huge fines, like up to $1 million, and time in jail and all that. So coming to my parents' place was gonna be the easiest because they're quite self-sufficient with gardens and they live in the woods. So we've got a huge private 30-acre backyard to just keep enjoying life without feeling like we're too stuck. which is nice.
Yeah, we're not too cooped up. We don't have to stay inside all the time. And yeah, it's just been really pleasant, actually, considering the constraints of a quarantine. We'll just go through chat real quick and answer some of your questions.
There's so many people. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. This is a big turnout. Thanks for joining us here. Like the title says, feel free to ask us any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yeah, a little bit of an update on our life and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi to everyone.
Did you want to get the first one?
Gosh, what's the first question? You've been reading them. I'm way back there. Okay, so Luciano Magulas. Hopefully I'm pronouncing right. So, awesome. You want to live year-round in a 36-foot sailboat somewhere in Ontario, maybe in 2 years or so. That's not a question.
Well, the next one. How much does it cost? How much will that cost you? Well, in Ontario, for us in Port Colborne, for a year, it was really quite affordable. She's
for
much
a
better with the cost.
33-foot sailboat, we were spending about $2,000, I think.
For the full year, yes. that included winter storage, summer
haul in, haul out.
Yeah, summer docks, and there's no live aboard fee or anything, so you're able to live aboard your boat there as well. Prices will vary greatly, so it's really hard to say for sure. Mm-hmm. If you're in Toronto or something, you're going to be paying way more. But just shop around. I'm sure you'll find something, and I'm excited for you. Enjoy.
Yes.
It's quite a fun experience, especially at the start, trying to boat shop and find something that's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm. And Ontario has so much sailing locations with all the Great Lakes. Really, really nice spot. But yeah, so I guess like Casa Marina's changed quite a bit. So right now we're all over the place.
Yeah.
So right now our sailboat Wildly Intrepid is left all alone in Florida because we decided to leave it in Florida because, well, there's the hurricane season going on, which seems to be slowing down, which is really, really nice. But we left it in Green Cove Springs on the St. Johns River, and that's in the north of Florida near Jacksonville. And we decided to go with that location because, well, first off, it was actually really affordable. Mm-hmm. And I've got two sisters who live in Jacksonville and have been living there for years. So they're quite a bit familiar with the hurricane trends over there. And we have someone close by if we need them to go have a look at our boat.
Mm-hmm. It was the best place for the time where we were and for the situation we are kind of found ourselves in. Mm-hmm. And when we go back, we'll be able to actually work on the boat and do all of the things that we want to do, which can be difficult to find in Florida specifically. A lot of places they want you to pay for, to have let's say a professional look at the boat and do the work, which just really isn't in our budget. And it's also not what we want. We want to be able to do all of the work ourselves and learn while we're doing. We make mm-hmm. lots of mistakes along the way, but we figure it out. We figured out maybe it costs a little more than we initially planned, but not even close to what it would cost to have a professional do it. Mm-hmm. And cruisers are so friendly and helpful that even sometimes you get professional help without having to spend a whole lot. Maybe a beer or a conversation sometimes goes a long way.
Yeah, the cruising community is just so nice. We met so many nice people just even mm-hmm. at Green Cove Springs. So we pretty much have our boat there. We hauled it out, put it on the hard, and for the size of boat, we have a 33-foot. We're spending about $215 per month to have it stored over there on the hard, and that's in U.S. Currency as well. So it's pretty good spot because a lot of places in Florida are just so much more expensive, and we had talked at one point of potentially sailing all the way back to Canada to keep our boat, but there were just so many different uncertainties with the coronavirus mm-hmm. that we weren't too sure. Should we go back to Canada? But then if we can come back in the fall, well, the water freezes around here and it's really, really cold. So it makes it a little challenging for traveling south.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuel Fire Garage, thank you so much. That's going to really help us get to that goal of having our drone. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Also, Rachel Jackson seems like she has a Hunter 32 and wants to take it to the Bahamas and maybe more. And wondering where else we're planning on going. I definitely think it's a great idea. I think you'll love the Bahamas. We certainly did.
It's kind of funny because we're the type of people that we don't really want to go to where everyone is going. We've always tried to, like backpacking around the world, we've always tried to go to the more remote and unknown places. And we actually did not even want to go to the Bahamas initially because everyone was talking about those islands. So we're like, there's going to be tons of people. It's going to be boring. It'll be super touristy. But I am so glad we decided to go because, wow, the Bahamas have over 700 different islands. So that only gives you an idea of how much cruising ground there is. And yes, there's places that there's a little bit more sailboats, but then there's other places that there's like nobody. On Andros Island, we barely saw anyone over there, and it was beautiful. So we would love to go back to the Bahamas. It's spectacular. I've never seen water like that before.
We definitely would like to go back there. There's so many cool places to see, though. And we're going to get into a little further in the live stream about our plans and how they've adjusted multiple times. And, we definitely want to explore a lot of the Caribbean, given the fact that we have, a Hunter. It's a production boat, so it's not a blue water boat. And we've kind of came to the conclusion that there's a big difference between a blue water boat and, a production boat. And it works fine for us, and we're gonna make do with what it is, and we enjoy our boat. But there's certain things that it doesn't have. And
there's pros and cons with every type of boat, depending on the type of cruising you do, really. So there's not one specific boat that fits someone. And I'm kind of glad we actually decided to start with that sailboat because it was kind of a cheap and easy to learn on sailboat to start with, and to just see if we even enjoyed sailing, because we had no knowledge or skills before diving into that. So it's good to not dive in too much and spend a fortune and then regret it.
Or find out you don't like it or something, which we love it. So it's worked out really well for us. And one day we will get a blue water boat or something that's a little beefier, more like a tank. It won't be as sporty as our boat is now, but we'll be able to cross larger pieces of ocean, which eventually is our goal. But for now, there's just so much exploring we can do in the Caribbean, and that's hopefully after things start to open.
Taste of it.
Once things start opening up, we'll actually get more of an opportunity to do that. We hope so. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much, Rachel. Really appreciate that other super chat.
Cheers!
You're awesome.
I'm totally drinking delicious coffee.
Yeah, I'm going to be out of coffee really quick. So, let's see what else we have here. Like I said, we'll get more into some details, but you guys are being so active in the chat, and I love having conversations with you people. So sometimes I just get distracted by all the comments, and I like to focus more on that than talk about ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's been... some people have been curious as to how we made it back home. That's been quite the that's been quite the adventure, I've got to say. So flights, as many of you probably noticed, do not fly as much as they used to. Some companies say that they're flying, but they're not really providing any services. So we've been trying to come back to Canada since July, I think.
Yeah, I think our flight got cancelled 4 times in total, I believe.
Plus a reschedule, that's 5 times. Yeah. We were initially going to go with WestJet because I found a cheap flight. I'm like, oh, perfect, we're flying back to Canada. It's going to be super, not too expensive. We're doing it. And they kept rescheduling, canceling our flight. Actually, it's like every time that the Canadian and US border because right now Canadian-US border is closed by land. So every time it got postponed of an extra 30 days, our flight would get canceled, and then we had to reschedule it. And at one point, I think so our flight was going to be like September 5th. And then they're like, oh, we're canceling again. We're going to put you back at the end of September. And we're like, well, in about not even a month, we've got to get out of the country for sure. So we're starting to be a little bit stressed with all those logistics. So I ended up canceling my flight, but they don't really give you your money back. So I had to go through my credit card to get my money. And then I booked it with Air Canada. And they never canceled it. So I was all excited. I'm like, oh my, we're actually going to fly. I didn't even want to get excited because I've been dealing with this for 2 months now. And we get to the airport in Jacksonville in Florida. And so our first flight was with United to Washington. And then in Washington, we were going to jump onto Air Canada and fly to Toronto and then Quebec City. And in Jacksonville, they gave us our first plane ticket from Jacksonville to Washington. They take our checked-in luggage, make us pay for those. But then they tell us, oh, you're in Washington, you're going to have to go to the Air Canada counter and get the rest of your trips, your 2 other flights, boarding pass printed over there. So we're like, okay, that's all good. We'll do that. We've got 6-hour connection over there. Easy. So we're all excited. We're in the airport. We take our first flight. And then we get to Washington and we can't really, well, there's only one flight leaving out of Washington, D.C. for the next 3 days. So there's nobody over there at the gate yet. So they tell us, oh, should it be someone with this an hour or 2 before your flight? So we go for lunch, we tour around the airport, just killing time, you know.
You're making this a really long story.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Long story short, we got stranded because our connection flight got canceled. Somehow they let us on the first flight, but we got stranded there. So they had
refunded our tickets apparently. So we did not exist in the system, and security-wise, they couldn't let us on. So we're stuck in Washington. No flights going on for 2 days, and we've got to buy a new plane ticket.
at quite ridiculous prices comparing to the deals that we had found, weeks prior. So anyway, we ended up renting a car to get the rest of the way home, which was a lot less stressful actually in the end. But man,
it was a long night.
That was probably one of our worst times flying between, we've flown plenty of places throughout, our relationship together. Yes. And that was just brutal. Not a fun experience trying to get home, but we finally made it. So that's what matters.
I was so happy to see my parents in Quebec City picking us up at the rental company. That was like, we did it. We made it in the country. They didn't kick us out. We've made it here. Now it's the easy part.
I've never been so stressed to enter my own country, not knowing, even though, it's been said multiple times that they'll accept people, from Canada going into Canada. It still was stressful, way more stressful than usual, thinking that, what if they don't allow me, and what will I do then? And all these random situations running through your head, it was definitely a high stress sort of entry, but
but they only asked us if we were carrying firearms and why it took us so long to get back into the country, and gave us a piece of paper, and they're like, this is what you got to do for your quarantine. Welcome in Canada.
Thanks so much, Kevin Jones, for the $5 donation. You're Cheers. Awesome. And I just realized actually the little new drone thing isn't updating properly. It seems to be broken, so I think I'm just going to remove that for now. We'll see if we can get that working next time, and we'll have it updated. But yeah, that's not working. But anyway, that's our goal, is to try to get to 500 within a reasonable amount of time before we leave, because we can't get anything shipped to Caribbean very easily. Now let's get on to some of these questions here. We've got, when would you, actually we'll go up here a little bit.
And Air Canada is pretty great, but maybe not that one time. But everything is just so different with all those weird virus regulations. It's tricky.
Kevin Jones, we already went over this, but our boat is in Florida in Green Cove Springs, in case you weren't here when we mentioned it.
Yeah, so that's near Jacksonville.
It's on the hard up there. It's kind of out of the hurricane zone. The hurricanes seem to kind of coast away from that area, so we're pretty safe where we are.
So far, so good.
Yeah. SV Lucas asked, how much did it cost to leave our boat in Florida?
So price-wise, Green Cove Springs is quite affordable compared to most of Florida. We paid... So for hauling out, it was... Hold on. Try to do some quick. It was $2.50 per foot, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cost us about $80 US to haul our boat out. And then for storage for our 33-foot sailboat, it's $215 per month. And that's just to be in the... So there's two different zones in at Green Cove Springs. There's the dry storage area, which you put your boat over there, which is where we are. And your boat is kind of stored, locked, but you're not allowed to do any work whatsoever onto it. And then when we're going to come back, we'll move it from that location and transfer it to the working zone, which that one, I think I was calculating about like $15 per day.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
it's affordable. They have a weird kind of breakdown, and when you go on their website, it says, they charge to block you and unblock you and all this stuff. But the staff there are wonderful, and
they're so friendly.
Your bill doesn't end up being as bad as you might calculate it initially, but it's still way cheaper than anywhere else that we found in Florida.
And just go talk to the staff. They're super knowledgeable, friendly, and seem quite skilled, actually.
We were a little apprehensive, actually, about leaving it there before we went there, because we had heard a lot of negative stories about people stealing stuff, breaking things on boats, and breaking into boats. And from what we've heard from the staff, we'll find out when we get back, but from what we've heard, they've kind of gotten rid of a lot of the people that were causing those problems, so we have faith that it's going to be a pretty good situation there. And also we met some people while we were there, some followers of the channel, and just some other really nice people that were hauling out their boat at the same time, and they offered to keep an eye on it as well. So we feel like the boat's pretty safe and sound where it is.
And there's Gaty the gator. She's going to attack anyone.
We have a little pet. We built a moat around our boat and put a little gator in there. No, not really, but there's a gator, a small little gator that I was actually throwing sticks down to, and she came over and would grab the stick, and it was pretty funny.
Yes, but it seems to be quite a nice location because we don't have to sail all the way back up north and then sail all the way back south just to be able to keep the boat somewhere in Canada. And then when we want to start sailing again into the Caribbean, we're just a hop away from the Bahamas or Cuba.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice location. Plus having family over there, like, oh my, if we didn't have them, it would have been so much harder. We took so much stuff off of our boat and stored it at their place.
Yeah.
So Julie and Sean...
Yeah, thanks so awesome. much. If we didn't have a place to store our stuff, it would have been way more difficult, because storing your boat in a very humid environment like that, mold is a serious issue. Yeah. So anyway, we're very thankful to have that. That's another reason why we wanted to go in that location. Socialist. I'm terrible at spelling and names.
Where are you looking?
But anyway,
Silas.
As you can tell, terrible. When do you think things would open up? The pandemic doesn't seem to be slowing down, and you're absolutely right.
I wish I had an answer. I thought we'd be fine by the summer.
Yeah, honestly, by this point, I thought we were going to be heading back, not like just arriving. And Bahamas... As well, there's a perfect time to talk about that right now. Really. Our plan was to go back to the Bahamas after we fixed our engine, which we successfully did. So it's working again. That's how we got back. How we got to Green Cove Springs was first we had to fix our engine in New Smyrna, which was, our last live update was kind of talking about our engine and what we had to do. So we were successful with all of that. Yeah. So we made it there, and we had always intended to go back to the Bahamas to start and then see where that led us. We always wanted to check out more of the Caribbean.
Yeah, so initially we wanted to head back to the Bahamas in like November or December, but now we're kind of putting that idea off on the side burner because, well,
we still want to do it.
Yes.
We're still planning on doing it, and as soon as the Bahamas actually opens to tourists, we are going to do that, or we're going to look at other options, which we'll get into in a minute. But the Bahamas, I don't know if you're unaware, the Bahamas right now with the way the quarantine is and stuff, they require that you take a test before you arrive there, which is all fine. I totally get it. But the issue that I have with it is the test has to be less than 5 days old, and the test takes up to 72 hours to process. The problem is, without even considering how long it's going to take you to find a weather window and travel there, the test it takes 5 days, roughly 5 days, to get a test, because you can't do the fast test.
Actually, no, you can apparently.
Okay, now
but
you
I'm
can.
not 100% sure, because you get a little bit of mixed information, but it seems like you might be able to do those like 24-hour or 72-hour turnaround tests.
So before that, I didn't realize you could do that. But essentially, we were figuring, well, if you have 5 days that it takes to receive the test, and your test is expired according to Bahamas after 5 days, how are they going to allow the 72 hours to actually accept the test? Not to mention how long it takes to get there. So regardless, even if they accept the short-term test, which might take a day or two, maybe a little longer, you still need to pick a weather window. Anyway, you need to get there within less than a week, essentially. Yeah. And that's fine if you have beautiful weather all the time, but we waited to cross over to the Bahamas the first time we left for like 2-3 weeks before we found weather.
It took us a little while.
Because the wind was always blowing out of either the north
or the east.
Which
you do not want to go on the northern component wind for the Gulf Stream, and then east. Well, we could have motored, but
yeah. So anyway, it's looking like it's going to be difficult to go to the Bahamas right now. Things are changing all the time, so who knows?
And I mean, even like with the testing and all that, you do have to do a 14-day quarantine once you arrive into the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. And you are allowed to leave your port of entry before the end of those 14 days, but you are not allowed to go to land. And then the one thing that really got us is that every time you do some inter-island travels, so let's say you leave the Biminis to go to the Exumas or Eleuthera, you have to do another 14-day quarantine every single time you change islands if you want to go to shore. Otherwise, you don't have to bother with it. And you also have to get another COVID-19 test done if you are traveling to and from Grand Bahama Island or New Providence Island. So it's putting a lot of different restrictions, which
I don't
makes it a little challenging.
And I don't know if this has changed, but at one point you weren't even allowed to fish, which is like a huge reason why we would want to be back in the Bahamas, is all the fresh fish that we get to fish for. And I mean, it essentially made our quarantine while we were there,
enjoyable.
Our time while we were there in lockdown and stuff more enjoyable. But if we don't have that, we're not allowed to go on islands, like, what is there to do? You know, I'm not just going to sit on my boat all day and do, work on my boat in Bahamas. Like, anyway.
Yeah, but things are, gosh, I think we've been looking at the news, every other day, just trying to get a little bit of an idea on what's opening, what's not opening, just because we just want to get back to our boat. We want to keep sailing. Yeah. We parked the boat, but we want to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, and what are some of the options that we were talking about for again? This could change, but there's other places, of course, we could go in the Caribbean, but a lot of them still have restrictions. But there's a couple places that Alex found that actually have less restrictions. I think they're trying to get more tourism going.
So the Dominican Republic apparently are opening quite a bit to tourism. They want to have people come over. So I believe there's no COVID-19 test that is required prior to arrival. There's no quarantine required. And they're even providing health insurance to all the tourists who go there and fight back. But quite a few different perks. They really want to have people go over there. And Mexico is another place that there's no test required and no quarantine required either. So those are two locations that are a little easier to go to. They're a little further, which...
we could make happen, possible, but we'd have to pick a really good weather window.
Yes.
And I think we're talking way too much because you guys are being super active in the chat and we're falling way behind. So sorry to all of you guys. But it looks like Tikus007BC sent us
Trev.
20. Oh yeah. Anyway, I read his username, but thanks so much for the donation.
And by the way, we are loving all the comments that everyone have been putting on all the videos or on our Facebook posts. I feel like we've got a little family, and it's kind of nice.
You guys are all way too kind to us with your comments, and it really helps us stay motivated. And I mean,
because of you that we're doing all of that.
Well, no, I mean, we love creating the content, but it really helps us, stay the course and keep making content on a weekly basis and bi-weekly basis as much as we can, because it drives you more. I mean, it's fun creating content just for creating content, but when somebody seems to enjoy your content, it really means a lot. So thank you guys so much.
Big time. No, it's so nice. And by the way, there's some people that have been asking if we're still in the Bahamas, because we are super behind.
Clearly, we're not in the Bahamas.
But yeah, no, the videos that are coming up right now are from sometime in February.
Yeah.
And then our Patreon and YouTube members get them a week before everyone else. But it's all in February-ish.
So, luckily, given the situation, since we didn't know the situation was happening, we have a huge backlog of content, and the content won't be ending anytime soon.
No.
So even if we're stuck here for another few months, we have a lot to keep showing, and we have a lot that we're really excited to share with you guys, because we had some pretty epic adventures in Bahamas.
And the adventures won't even end up even though we're far away from our boat, because my brother bought a sailboat.
You guys got to see this boat. Since it's going to be behind, please check out our Facebook or Instagram. Yeah. There'll be some photos of this boat. It is a gorgeous boat.
I'm kind of jealous.
It's
the Sea Dragon. Wait and see what my brother has. Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to be going to the Georgian Bay very soon.
Mm-hmm. Next few days, actually.
Yeah.
Scott asks, if you bought your boat back in Canada and wanted to get it back to the Bahamas quickly, how would you which way would you take, I guess, or how long would it take, and would you go the outside route? And I think it would depend on, I mean, you might have a different answer, but it would depend on the boat. If the boat's comfortable to go outside and like next to any weather, I would go on the outside. It's way faster, way less stress with people on the ICW and stuff.
But from Ontario also, like, I don't know if you're referring to the St. Lawrence and out the Maritimes route.
Oh.
Because initially when we bought our boat on Lake Erie, initially we were super set into sailing off the St. Lawrence River, then down New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and the east coast of the U.S.
We just really wanted to do it since we're from Quebec.
I mean, that's kind of what we knew. We weren't very familiar with the Erie Canal at that time, so that wasn't really much of an option to us. But then we did have a friend that actually took that route. And it's just you're doing the trip kind of late in the season, so it's a little bit more rough, colder, tail end of the hurricanes or tropical storms. And it's quite a bit longer. It adds a lot of mileage to go on the outside route. I won't say we're never going to do it, because at one point I would love to sail up that way into Newfoundland and all that. But if you want more comfortable, faster way of traveling, what we did last September, I think, is the way to go for comfort and fast anyways.
And it's very enjoyable doing the canal.
The Erie Canal saves you a lot of time, and it's cute.
But all that being said, once you're done that portion, the faster way would definitely, in my opinion, be the outside, considering all the bridges and stuff going down the coast on the ICW side of things, especially if you're just trying to get to Bahamas. The issue, I guess, would be the Gulf Stream. But
you're not gonna catch it up until like Florida.
Yeah. Well, but like you can only go so far out, because you're gonna start hitting the Gulf Stream. It's really gonna start slowing you down.
But as soon as you make it to New York, then it's easy to do a couple of jumps on the outside, which is probably what we would do next time. But I have no regrets, and I'm actually quite happy that we did mostly the interior route, because you stop in more places, you explore the little towns, you meet people.
Somebody told us this once, and I totally agree with it. If you've never done the ICW, you should do it at least once. But after you've done it once, you're kind of over it. It's a lot of the same stuff, and you get tired of the other boaters in general, or at least I do, the power boaters and stuff. Yeah, specifically in Florida. A lot of other areas, they're fine.
Georgia,
they're more
North
considerate
Carolina,
of other boaters, and they don't wake you all the time. But anyway, that's my opinion.
And like the time that it took us to, it took us 4 months in the U.S. to make it to the Bahamas, but we're slow travelers.
Yeah, we take our time.
We just see something, we're like, want to stop here for the day or 2 days, and we'll stop and enjoy it. To us, it's not necessarily getting from point A to point B. It's a whole journey. That's the trip. It's stopping at all those places and watching the different sunsets and meeting the people. That's what makes sailing and traveling so much more enjoyable. Yep. So we take our time. Yep. We only do so many miles a day.
Kevin asks, or Kevin says he has the exact same motor in his CNC 32, and he wants to know how it is. And we already kind of mentioned it. We got it fixed. It's working. I'm always, because we fixed it ourselves, I'm always a little bit paranoid. Oh, like I hear a noise. Was that noise there before? But other than that, it seems to be running perfectly. It's not burning oil anymore. Well, it doesn't seem to be.
The air filter is actually dry. Yeah. There's no oil.
So it's working great. Thanks for asking.
It starts every time we turn on the key. Yeah. It does what it's supposed to. And actually something really nice about the Yanmar 2 GMs, they're kind of small engines, and parts are... they're cheapish compared to other engines.
And when you need to haul it out, you can lift it with like 2 people, even though it's like super awkward. Thanks a lot, Cody, for helping me get that engine out there. We're like both dripping sweat, and we got it like hooked up to the boom. But anyway, you'll see that in future videos. It was an adventure getting it out, but because it's a small engine, you can maneuver it a little easier.
Mm-hmm. And if you're patient, like Corey, and you use YouTube, or you have friends or brothers that know what they're doing, it's kind of nice to just use everyone's brain and fix it yourself. Like, gosh, initially I thought we'd have to just get a new engine, that the engine was just done, because our pistons were cracked and the engine needed a major rebuild. But we managed to do everything for $700 maybe ourselves, and that's changing a bunch of extra gaskets.
Yeah, and extra parts. And anyway, it worked out way, way, way cheaper than if we had paid somebody to do it. And I think we ended up with a pretty good product in the end. Kevin, sorry if I keep cutting you off, but like we're falling behind here. We have to answer some of these. Sorry, Dave says he's a Canadian as well and loves our hockey stick idea. And
this
he's
is
going
so
to copy
not our
it.
idea,
It's not our
actually.
idea. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah. So our friend, when we got to Sugarloaf Marina in Ontario, our very good friend Tom had a hockey stick with the Canadian flag on it. So we said we had to do it. So we started sailing with our hockey stick. So keep going with it. Let's just start that like hockey stick tradition. It's pretty awesome. Okay, keep going.
This one's French, we'll let you...
Merci, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
C'est le fun de parler en français un petit peu. Ça faisait longtemps que j'avais pas parlé en français, puis là, avec ma famille au Québec, ça fait du bien. Santé.
So, Luciano?
Luciano.
Okay.
Is this Italian?
You go ahead. You read that one.
So from the day you left Canada through the Canal system to the day you came back, how long were you gone for? 361 days. Yeah. Or 62. 62, it took us an extra day.
Yeah, almost a full year. Most of that time was on the boat.
So we left Canada September 21st, 2019. And we spent about 4 months cruising down the Erie Canal, the east coast of the US, visiting my family, some friends. And then we crossed into the Bahamas. It was January 19th. Yeah, it was January 19th. We crossed to the Bahamas. we did a bunch of sailing, and then we kind of got caught up in the whole lockdown coronavirus thing. So we figured it'd be better off to just stay in the Bahamas. So we stayed there until the end of April. Yeah, I think we made it back to the US April 29th. And then after that, when we made it back to the US, we didn't do quite as much cruising for the first month and a bit because we were working on the engine, fixing it up, waiting for parts, fixing some more. And then we did a little bit of cruising in northern Florida, and in Georgia, we went back to Cumberland Island. And then after that, yeah, we made it to my sister's, kind of were on and off the sailboat while we were in Jacksonville. It was really, really hot in the summer in Florida. Like, woo! 35 degrees Celsius,
not a place
humidity.
Not a place I could live, or specifically, not a place I would want to work on my boat in the summer. We're going to do lots of work on the boat, or a decent amount of work on the boat when we get back. We have to paint the bottom. We have to do a bit of fiberglass repair.
We will stop that anchor locker leak forever.
Yeah. The leak that we've had in our previous videos will definitely be fixed because we're sick of that. But yeah, anyway, I wouldn't want to do it in the summer. It's just way too hot. Way too hot.
So yeah, a couple more months in Florida and then back here for hopefully not too long.
Yeah. Bonnie, actually, that kind of ties into a question I saw here. Do you know when you'll be returning to your boat? And that is undecided at the moment, I guess. We're hoping...
So initially we wanted to come back in the fall, but there's still quite a few... Everything's still unknown that we don't want to go back to the boat and then sail somewhere and kind of be locked down again.
Yeah, and we also can't just go back to the boat and be like, oh, we'll play it by ear and just wait to see if anything opens, because we can't get a cruising permit in the States right now because the States isn't approving cruising permits.
Canadian-US borders have a bit of issues.
So that's another issue. So we kind of have to either wait for that to happen or decide on a country that we can actually go to pretty much as soon as we're done working on the boat.
Yes, because right now as a Canadian, from what we hear anyways, we're going to be allowed to get a cruising permit if we want to sail the boat back to Canada.
Yeah.
Or if we're leaving the country.
Yeah.
So there's not much within US cruising allowed for us. But everything works quite state by state, so you'll get some information from someone, call someone else who gets something else. So that's why we're kind of letting everything maybe mellow out a little bit more.
But
we need to make money also.
Yeah, that's the other thing is we're trying to get a little bit of work lined up here while we're home so that we can continue cruising for longer, because as it stands, I think considering the upgrades that we want to get a few things for the boat. We might only be able to cruise for another year before we have to stop for a little while and work or find work along while we cruise. Yes. That's always an option as well. We've always been inspired by the way Atticus dealt with things, leaving for like $2,000 and just making it work. And maybe that'll be our route as well. But while we're here and stuck here, we are going to try to find a bit of work. Mm-hmm. Bonnie says she wishes she would have known we were stranded because she would have wanted to help.
I know.
we actually thought of you driving
so much because we were driving through. Well, we left Washington, drove through Baltimore, and we're like, "Gosh, we should almost call Bonnie and be like, want to go for supper?"
Yeah.
But then we had been up since like 4:30 that morning, and we rented the car. It was like a 24-hour rental thing, and we were already tired, and we knew we'd have. And from Washington to Quebec City, it's a good 12 hours nonstop of driving. So we're like, yeah, we're in for a tiring long night. So we just said, okay, we'll just keep going. I was kind of stressed and crying and everything. I was not having the time of my life. I just wanted to get it done and over with and make it to Canada.
But if we're ever in your area, we'll definitely come visit you again. It just wasn't a good time for us, and it was kind of a spur of the moment. Like we just we're renting a car now. We need to get home. We didn't want to spend multiple nights sleeping in the airport. And anyway, it just kind of all happened very quickly.
Really quickly.
Did you want to get that one?
Which one is it? Hey guys. Well, thank you so much, Les. Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm glad to have you.
Yeah,
I so appreciate there's been so many new people coming out, and not only like just joining and subscribing, but also like commenting and letting us know that they're new and they're really excited about the content, or they're doing something similar, and it's inspiring for us too to see so many people that want to do this sort of stuff, and maybe we've had a small part in that, or they've just come and told us, oh well, what do you think of this? Or it's fun to help others do similar things, because we think this is a beautiful lifestyle, and we want to help anybody in any way that we can, because so many people have helped us, and it's just give and take.
We kind of fell in love with it, just like when we started shopping for sailboats, just meeting the type of people around boats. It's like it's a community. Usually you don't really know your neighbors, you don't know anyone. Everyone's doing their own things, but in this kind of environment, it's just so much more welcoming, and we totally get hooked on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We are Lucano? Is that right?
Luciano.
Why do I keep getting it wrong? Luciano. I'm so sorry if we're pronouncing it bad. Again, just I'm really terrible.
Blame it on my French.
Sure, I'll blame my mistakes on her French. But he wants to know if we tried any side gigs or side hustles or anything like that to make some money while we were traveling. And I think
it's tricky with the U.S.
Well, yeah, while we were in the U.S., no, not at all, because, we just couldn't risk getting kicked out of the country. They're quite strict from what I hear about those sort of things. Mm-hmm. And while we were in Bahamas, honestly, it's the same lockdown. It's the same sort of deal in Bahamas, to be honest. If you're caught, you're probably going to get deported. But I have heard in the cruising community, you can normally get away with stuff. But because of the lockdown, there was like almost nothing to... People needed help and stuff, but it wasn't as I guess a lucrative sort of thing. You help people because everybody kind of helps each other out. It's not really something I felt like I could make money from.
No, so the main money we've been making since we left has been a little bit from YouTube, Patreon, or members, and I also just published a second hiking guide for Newfoundland in Canada, so that's a little bit of extra money. But that's why we're talking about getting some jobs and actually earning some little bit more cash, because we can't really make a living from, even though you guys are wonderful, super generous, but it's...
Right now we're not quite doing enough with just YouTube.
We're not Delos or La Vagabonde.
We'd love to, we don't have a very luxurious lifestyle, so we'd love to be able to live off. Alright, sorry guys, I think our GoPro just turned off. I'm hoping the audio will work at least for now while I get the GoPro hooked back up. Can you guys let us know if you can hear us while I try to get the GoPro working again?
Feed is gone. Okay. Last two. Weird.
Alright, let's see. Why is nothing working? Of course, the GoPro's not.
Audio is working.
Alright, so the audio is working. We'll just keep talking in the meantime while we get this working for now.
Is back. So it's just a video, I guess. You guys do not see us.
Okay, so anyway, we'll just keep answering questions without the video until I can get the GoPro hooked back up, and we'll move on from there. Because even the video from the chat isn't working.
Weird. Gotta love technology. So yeah, Fuel Fire Garage is asking if we got the motor fixed up. Yes, we did fix it up. The engine is awesome so far. The videos are quite behind, like we were saying. Right now we're only posting things from back in February. So videos will be coming, but they might be in a few months. That's a menacing thumbnail. Oh, is that you?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So this is Corey angry at technology.
This is a picture of me trying to figure out the camera, and apparently it's not working. It's weird because I had the webcam on the computer set up as a backup, and that's what you guys are seeing there. But for some reason, it's not working. It's not coming up.
Funny thumbnail.
Anyway, we're gonna keep answering questions in the meantime.
This.
I don't understand why the app stopped working.
Oh, this is too funny. Hi, Erica.
Hey, Mom.
So yes, still at my parents' place in Canada and Quebec, and tomorrow we are free men of the country. Even though it's still super restricted, we're in zone orange. There's weird zones in Quebec. Not quite fully understanding of all of them. Dharmesh. Oh, your family of 4 getting ready to buy your sailboat next week. CNC 41. Wow.
Nice.
We've got a friend actually that had the exact same boat. It's beautiful. Good luck with that. Super happy we could inspire you. You're gonna have so much fun. Yeah, sailing is quite the adventure. It's freedom. There's just so many places you can see that you wouldn't really see if you were by car or flying. There's a lot of hard things to deal with, but all the good times make it all worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. All right, I think I'm almost ready to get the video back up and running. Sorry again, guys. This is the first time we've used the GoPro to live stream, and it just kind of cut out randomly. I don't know if it's because I waited too long. Okay, it should be popping up there in any second. Let's see here. There we go. See here. Right, now I gotta turn. There we go. All right, now I gotta turn off the. It's a little finicky. I gotta turn off the mic now.
Only Corey's face looking frustrated. He's gonna look happier soon.
Okay, let us know if you can hear us and if the audio is lined up with the video. It should all be good now. Thanks for being patient with us, guys. We only lost a few people during all that craziness. And all right, let's see, where were we?
Well, you're moving my things now. Okay, we're here somewhere. Caribbean island economics would take a hit. I think everyone's taking a big hit from this whole ordeal, really. Oh yeah, I'm looking. Well, I'm reading, talking, you know. Yes, and I mean, it's an interesting topic. I mean, there are definitely some people being affected from it, health-wise, but also economically. And every country is dealing with it a little bit differently. In the US, we're free to kind of go do whatever we wanted, almost. In Canada, it's quite a bit stricter, a little bit like the Bahamas kind of thing. And I'm not entirely sure what's the best way of dealing with it, but my little selfishness would love to keep traveling.
Yeah.
Because we just love moving. We love change. We love explorations, which is why we got a boat to carry on doing this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, one day it'll continue. Kevin asks if we've run into any other YouTubers from other sailing channels. And We've actually spent a ton of time with one channel that will be coming up in our videos very shortly.
Yes.
They're called Sailing Vinyasa, and if you'd like to see some stuff a little bit
preview of us,
like I guess a fast forward in what we're going to be posting, they're already well ahead. They're actually back home now almost with their videos, so they're like months ahead of us. So you'll be able to see us and how we hung out.
They're that wonderful couple from the US and Norway, and we ended up doing our lockdown and our craziness in the Bahamas all with them and into the US.
They were our family, and essentially we kept each other sane throughout our time in the Bahamas crazy lockdown adventure. But yeah, they were the main channel, and I think we've seen a couple others, but not had like very big interactions. I don't think. I feel like I've seen.
There was someone else with the electric motor.
Oh, and somebody we met. I think. I can't remember their channel name. We only met them for a short period of time. They had a Bayfield on the Erie Canal.
Yes. 4 sheets to the wind.
Yeah. So anyway, we've met a couple, but none of the big names, I guess, that you remember or that most of us got inspired to watch.
But go check out Sailing Vinyasa. They have awesome videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like Tori says, they were our family pretty much in the Bahamas.
Thanks for the welcome back, Marcel. It's good to be back in Canada for sure.
Oh, it's so nice to see family. I mean, we hadn't seen any of. Well, we've only seen my parents so far just because of the quarantine. But soon we'll get to see his family and my brother and get to hang out with everyone.
It'll hopefully be relatively normal again, considering the situation. We'll get to see everybody. How was the trip from the end of the Erie Canal to New York?
The Hudson River
really
was
nice.
quite nice.
Yeah.
It's not a very long trip. I think we kind of rushed through it just because there was a bit of a storm coming in and we wanted to be able to go visit New York prior to that storm and then go hide in Sandy Hook. But we loved stopping in Kingston on the Hudson River. That was that nice little surprise that we randomly stopped last minute and explored the whole historical section, Dutch area. And we loved it. It was beautiful. And then there's also the whole other section that there's actual castles and a huge fortress, which I had no idea we even had castles in North America. So that was stunning. Yeah, the Hudson's kind of nice. There's some nice little towns along the way. Took us, I think, 4 days from the end of the Erie Canal to New York City.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not seeing the pop-ups here. Maybe I'm just missing them. But we got another super chat from Scott McAdam. Cheers. Thanks, Scott.
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
it. He says, found you guys a couple weeks ago. Looking forward to working through the backlog. We definitely have a decent backlog there, so feel free to ask us anything about any of the past content and let us know what you think. I think we've improved over our years of creating content, but I'm definitely...
Don't look at our very first ones.
Oh yeah, I cringe at some of our older videos, so anyway, that's part of the process.
Yeah, we started our YouTube channel, I think, back in 2016. Posted one video that year. And then after that, posted a couple random ones. Mainly all back in Newfoundland and Canada with outdoor adventures, trekking, kayaking, climbing, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And we also have our backpacking around the world video. And we started with the sailing world.
Yeah, and that's kind of been our life now, so that's what our channel is. We just kind of evolve as our lives change. Does it cost money to go through the canal system from Ontario to New York? Dmast bridge costs. Bridges are free. The canal was free.
It was free for
years.
2 years, but I'm not entirely... I haven't been looking at it right now, but I think it used to be... I'm not 100% sure. I want to guess about $70.
Yeah, it's in that range, $70 to $80.
To do the whole canal, and that's including all the locks, bridges, and everything.
Demasting is I think it was $70 to put our mast back up.
55.
Oh, okay. So $55 to put our mast back up at
Castleton Boat Club.
But that's the only place that was that cheap. Most of the time it's hundreds of dollars. And that was because you had to do it yourself. And I mean, it wasn't that bad, but essentially you have to be prepared and know what you're doing a little bit to put your mast back up yourself.
Which we did a video about our experience at this boat club with the mast as well.
And we also have a detailed breakdown of all of our costs that we've recently finished a series on that. So if you look back at that, you can see our costs, at least a pretty good idea of what we spent throughout our trip.
In the US so far. We'll be doing one about our selling costs in the Bahamas, but that one will come up a little later on. Yeah.
And to take the mast down, it cost a little more because we did it in Port Colborne, but it's still quite affordable.
$92, I believe. Most of the time with your mast, it's going to work. It'll be a price per foot. Yeah. So at Sugarloaf Marina, which is on Lake Erie in the Canadian side in Port Colborne, it was $1.50 a foot for your mast. And it was kind of nice because it was our marina, and then it was only how long did it take? I think it took 3 hours to motor over.
Yeah, it wasn't far at all.
Yeah, so it was kind of convenient to take our mast down at our home marina and then motor over and start cruising down the Erie Canal.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Fuel Fire Garage asks, you guys ever think about taking the ditch to the Gulf Coast? And I can say I haven't. I mean, it would be cool, but I haven't actually thought about it as an option, so maybe we'll have to look into that.
The Gulf Coast is beautiful. Oh, yeah. We kind of had a taste of it. We cheated. We didn't take our sailboat. No. My sister and her husband took us over to the Gulf Coast at Cedar Key, and it'll be in one of our videos. Actually, we did a bit of a road trip over, and it's beautiful. I've got to say, I think the Gulf Coast, the west coast of Florida, has way more islands and exploration to be done than the east side, which is
I think so.
It's like a straight beach. It's lots of beaches. Mm-hmm. So there's not as much like tucking in. It's pretty much you go on the outside, or you follow the ICW. Yeah. So, I mean, depending what happens, it really depends at what time of the year we actually make it back to our boat, because we don't want to leave our boat forever over there, because it kind of takes a toll on your sailboat, leaving it in the humidity and all that. So in a few months, we'll see if we can do a little bit of winter cruising into the Caribbean and then go tuck away in Central America or somewhere for hurricane season. But then if we don't make it back to our sailboat up until like closer to the next hurricane season, which I hope isn't that far away, then maybe we'll consider cruising in different areas.
Yeah.
But more in the US or...
I mean, there's so many places to go, so who knows. Mm-hmm. But right now, I guess we're pretty set. Or we really would like to go back to the Caribbean, so right now we're kind of hoping that we can do that.
Because our initial plan was to do all the Western Caribbean, so we wanted to do the Bahamas, Cuba, maybe Jamaica, and like some of those areas, and then scoot over to potentially Guatemala or Mexico for the hurricane season. So that's kind of still in the plans of wanting to go to those areas. Oh. Où est votre voilier hors de l'eau? Oui, Marcel, notre voilier, il est c'est proche de Jacksonville, en Floride. C'est à Green Cove Springs, une marina sur le St. John's River. Puis on a sorti notre voilier en dehors de l'eau. Il est à l'entreposage au sec.
Translation? Our boat is out of the water at Green Cove Springs.
Out of the water, yep.
Leanne and Tom say, fantastic to see us home. Thanks, Leanne and Tom. Really appreciate it.
Miss you guys.
We're happy to be here, but we can't wait to get back either.
It's nice. It's a forced visit back home, as well as helping me deal with some of my banking issues and paper logistics and all that.
Yeah.
Traveling abroad can be challenging.
Yeah, it's funny. Governments and banks and different industries are not designed for people that want to live the lifestyle we want to live. So every once in a while, you have to come back and figure out all of the stuff and make sure everything's organized so you don't get in too much trouble or not be able to access your funds. Or...
I had some fraud on my cards done quite a while back, and I never knew, but I was supposed to tell them to allow me to speak to them over the phone. So I've been trying to deal with some things, but my bank does not want to communicate with me over the phone.
Luckily, she has online banking, but other than that, she's pretty much like she can't do anything through her bank. Yeah. So anyway, it'll be nice to get that dealt with. Yes. Scott wants to know if the Great Lakes is anything like sailing in the Caribbean.
It's colder.
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. The Great Lakes, I mean, we didn't do a ton of sailing on the Great Lakes. We know our area of Lake Erie.
Yes.
But, I mean, I never once thought about hitting the ground in Lake Erie. Other than, like, being really close. Like, there's this place called Gravelly Bay that's fairly shallow and there's some rocks, but like you know that you're there. I can't speak to the rest of the Caribbean, but in Bahamas, like you're always cruising through, like you might be cruising at full speed, you know, your full cruising speed, but you only have like a foot of water underneath your keel, you know, and you just you got to trust your charts and your maps and I mean, luckily the water's so clear that you can normally see the coral heads and everything else.
That's a really big thing. The clarity of the water in the Bahamas anyways. That's the only part of which technically I guess isn't even in the Caribbean. It's at the edge of it. But anyways, like Bahamas, the water was just so clear, really warm. There's corals, which we don't have in the Great Lakes. I think it's a very different experience. But like he says, we've only cruised in Lake Erie, which we didn't have many islands. It wasn't the same kind of geography that we could cruise through.
Yeah.
Mind you, in a couple of days, we're going to be checking out a little bit of the Georgian Bay. We're going to be sailing with my brother on his own sailboat. So that's going to give us a different perspective on the cruising ground, which the Georgian Bay apparently is phenomenal.
Yeah, it'll be nice to actually explore a different area other than just Lake Erie. So we'll see. We'll let you guys know how that goes.
There will be a video about it.
Absolutely. Apparently, Backyard Rebuild says it gets up to 48 degrees Celsius here in the summer. I'm not sure where here is. I'm assuming you're talking about Florida from way back earlier in the stream when we were talking about heat, since we're so far behind in our talk. Maybe you're talking about Canada, because I mean there are some places every once in a while it gets that hot. But
Southern Ontario does get quite warm. We've seen a lot of like 40s in the summer. I mean the water did get quite warm in the summer. It's just cruising period is kind of short because you get your lakes freezing over, so it restricts to as when you can do some sailing.
Bonnie wants to know if we could put an approximate date of filming. I believe we started doing that. I don't know if they're on the videos anymore, but we have
it's like the back end of YouTube, so I don't really know where it shows up.
So, okay, we'll have to look into that. And if it's not in the description or it doesn't show up somewhere on the screen, we'll start putting it in the description. So
in the comments
or in the comments, so that you guys can know when we're actually filming this content. Since we are so far behind, it's difficult to, I mean, for a while we were putting out 2 videos a week just to try to catch up. And I think with the number of videos we have now, we might have to consider doing that again just so we can catch up to more real time, especially if we end up leaving for cruising in like another month or 2. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work to do. So we find we spend a lot of time editing, and sometimes there's other things you need to be doing. But
Bahamas is all February. Bahamas sailing is from January 19th until April 29th. Yeah, we spent almost 4 months in the Bahamas. We had a 3 months cruising permit visa. But then we got an extension with the whole lockdown and pandemic happening, so we stayed a little longer.
Yeah. Marco Street wants to know how did we find free anchorages and travel while we traveled down through Florida, and that wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be honest.
I don't know if you're using Navionics or Aquamaps. Those are two apps you can download. You pay for them, and it's all your navigation charts. And we use Aquamaps, and
which I have a love-hate relationship with. It's not the best app by far, but it's better for us in general than Navionics, and those are kind of the two ones you use. It has a lot more information than Navionics.
We have the overlay with the Active Captain and Waterways guides, so you see all the different anchorages. There's usually a little symbol for the anchorages, and then you click on it.
Yeah.
And people write reviews about it, so you'll get a bit of a description as what type of ground is it, how good is it, the depth.
It's super
shore
handy.
Access.
It's literally our essentially our only navigation tool we use. We have no chart plotter. We don't have any typical. We don't have any paper charts. We have some, but nothing for where we were traveling. And we actually, the only instrument we have that works is our depth sounder.
Which stopped working when we hauled out.
Yeah, but I think it still works. But anyway, our depth sound, we should check that before we put the boat back in. Our depth sounder and our tablet or our phone were our only navigation or our only tools that we had on the boat to help us get around. And they were actually more than enough. I never felt like I was lacking with something.
And because your speed, like even though the speed instrument doesn't work, we get it on the tablet or cell phone.
One thing,
and wind could be nice, but you can make do without.
Mm-hmm. One thing though I'd recommend if you do get any of these apps, whatever you decide to get, is have a backup device with it on. Because sometimes it crashes at the most worst time, or you get a wave come over and soak your device. And so you want something that you can quickly grab and pull out and be like, okay, well, I'm back in my navigating zone or whatever. Because, I mean, we've tried waterproof bags and stuff, but the problem is...
They overheat?
Yeah, you're running an app that's pretty heavy on the usage of the tablet or the phone, and it overheats and then it turns off the app. So it's no good to have it waterproof. I mean, it would be good, but it just doesn't work for the way we use it. So anyway, yeah, definitely recommend having more than one source for that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go here?
So was the Hudson River trip to New York boring? No, actually it wasn't. It was quite enjoyable. I mean, the Hudson River from the Erie Canal to New York isn't that long, actually. I think we did it in about 4 days. There's lots of beautiful sights to see along the way. Like I was mentioning, there's castles, fortress. We stopped in Kingston. There was little places where you could have stopped. Not quite as much as the Erie Canal, but there's still areas that you can see as you're cruising or stop in cities and explore. So it was actually quite nice. And there's those like lighthouse in the middle of the water. There was one of them that was pretty impressive. I took a bunch of pictures and videos. So yeah, Hudson River was lovely. It was wider. We were excited because we could actually start doing a little bit of sailing. And as you're approaching New York and Manhattan, it's all the skyscrapers that just all of a sudden appear in the distance. And you're like, wow, civilization!
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like the biggest city that we had seen on the trip so far.
It just feels like a bit of an achievement too, just making it to the Atlantic Ocean from the inland waterways. Once you make it to New York, you're like, oh, I made it. Of course you still have a way further to go, but actually it's kind of at that point, or roughly around that point, where you're super stoked to be able to make a right-hand turn and start heading south. Before that you're losing ground the whole way. You're essentially going like slightly north. Well, mostly east, but slightly north. So you're actually not getting any... It doesn't feel like you're getting any warmer. Doesn't feel like you're getting closer to your goal.
But then you hit the Troy lock and you're calling for the first time on the radio saying, southbound vessel.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow, Bonnie, you're way, way too generous. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Wow, cheers to you. Thank you.
She says, as always, love all the videos and all the work you put into them. Here's a little more towards the drone. Thank you so much. We'll be getting that drone in no time. Yes. One thing, as we were already saying, we did already have a drone picked out, but it just didn't work. So we're looking at maybe getting something that would be a little bit better than we had bought the Maverick Mini because it was like on sale or something. Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna get something going for next season, regardless. Even if we don't make it to our $500 goal, we're gonna get one. It's just gonna help us be able to get there a little easier.
Yes. And Wind Over Water is hi from Canada, and is asking about like if we'd ever consider exploring the Great Lakes like he's doing, and that could be an option. It's quite a bit of backtracking and taking the mast down again and a few things.
One day,
I think one thing that I kind of have in my heart if we make it back to Canada is to do some sailing in Newfoundland, because this is. Newfoundland is where we lived there for 6-7 years.
It's a beautiful place. I'd love to go back.
There's fjords. It's wild. It's pristine. There's tons of little abandoned communities or just communities that are only accessible by boat. And there's so much diverse landscape just because of the geology formation and anyways, I won't bore you with details, but it just looks like wonderful, challenging cruising grounds, which I think we'd both love to get back to. This is where the boat is actually registered.
Yeah.
St. John's, Newfoundland.
I'm just gonna test something quick because anyway, it seems to work with the test, but I'm not seeing any of the pop-ups when you guys send super chats or anything, so I don't know what's going on with this. I'm so new to streaming, especially with fancy overlays and stuff, but I thought I'd play around with it. And it seems like I'm kind of failing at it, but oh well. It's part of the process. I guess maybe I'll learn and, it'll get better over time.
Mm-hmm. And Luciano, you're asking about Sugarloaf Marina. And actually, Sugarloaf Marina is where we saw so many transients. It felt like everyone that was cruising to the Erie Canal would almost stop at Sugarloaf Marina just because it's a hop away from the beginning of the Erie Canal. Or the Welland Canal, and there's so many transient or boats that stop there on their way to and from different areas. Mm-hmm. So quite easy to get there. The staff is incredible, helpful, and the nice thing about that marina is that you have access to the town by foot. You can go do almost anything without even having a car. And I even think the marina was offering shuttles if you'd ask.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They're super accommodating. Chris, Mark, Mike, and all of the guys working over there.
If any of you are watching, hey, always, we miss you guys. It was a wonderful experience being there.
It was our little home.
It was a perfect spot to start our journey.
And learn. Mm-hmm. We learned so much from everyone over there. But yeah, awesome marina to stop at. Take your mask on also.
And he also asked, do you need special liveaboard insurance or anything like that to live at the marina? And no, you need insurance $1
million liability, I think.
Something in that range. I think almost every marina requires you to have some type of insurance. Like we only have liability insurance, and that's generally what it will be required if you want to live in a marina, be in a marina. Even if you just want to go for the night, you still need liability insurance.
Mm-hmm. Or storage.
Yeah, or if you need to store your boat, you still need liability. So that's the only sort of insurance, but nothing special to live aboard, which hopefully doesn't change, but I'd be surprised if it stayed that way with the way everything's getting so regulated and stuff. Mm-hmm. But as of now, we're good.
Combien d'heures de travail en moyenne pour plus? Oh mon Dieu.
That's hard to say. Tartan Sailor's wondering how much time we spend to make a video.
Tout dépendant, une vidéo d'une vingtaine de minutes, on peut passer une bonne 20 à 30 heures, tout dépendant.
It really depends. Alex says it takes around 20 to 30 hours to make about a 20-minute video, and that's completely dependent on like how many.
The type of video, how many different clips? Is it more of a narration type of video or more scenic? Then you're gonna have to play more with transitions and music and all of that.
Yeah.
So it does take a while to create a video, but we do it because we enjoy it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. We're also having a lot more fun. I find more recently we're trying to get a little better at our storytelling ability and trying to like, I guess, wrap things up a little better. Give maybe a little more knowledge about certain things, especially when we haven't talked a lot in a video. Like, if you look back at our old videos, we often didn't have any story. Sometimes it was like a music video. It was just music overlaid on top of, B-roll or like clips of videos. And so we're trying to get more into like a more concrete like flow of a story. And whether we're successful, who knows, but we're trying. And I think we're learning a lot along the way, and we're finding better ways to help tell our story, both with the video and our narration. And even the music is helping us more and more, because we're not just like putting music on top of a video. We're trying to choose the music specifically for the moment that we want to portray. And it takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun too. So.
And it's kind of a nice souvenir. We're just, especially as we're doing them quite a bit behind, we're reliving the trip. You forget things. There's like so much that happens in a life that you forget some details, and it's just nice to have that backlog that we can go back and watch and remember all the good times.
Yeah. Hey, Alan and Lynn. That's so awesome. So Alan and Lynn say they're from Fat Bottom Girl, and this is one of the boats that we met on the Erie Canal, and they said we're back
in the Atlantic Highland.
Yeah, we ran into a couple times.
Beaufort or Beaufort?
Beaufort or Beaufort. Anyway, one of those places that starts with a bow. And anyway, they're back in Canada. They really enjoy our videos. And
see, that's one of the nice things of traveling. You meet so many incredible people. Nice.
It's so great to see you guys here. Glad you guys made it back to Canada safe. Let us know what did you guys end up doing with your boat? I know you were having some trouble there for a little while. Do you still have your boat like on the hard, or what did you guys end up doing with it? Missed the timing. Hey, Alan. Alan loves music.
Alan and Kirsten.
He's just, again, one after another. This is another person we met. Actually,
the very first day of our trip, we did not know them whatsoever and connected with them so well. It's just some people you never know who you're gonna get into, but wow, wow! It made the start of the journey just so much better. It just starts in a good note.
You so far we haven't met any of our followers that weren't just awesome people, and this is no different, I guess. They brought us out for food, and we had some nice bonding experiences over drinks, and
because of you, Alan, we've been buying the black box
box of wine. We stocked up on that, and the first time we tried it was with them when they brought it over. So good to see you.
Yeah, that's one of the such nice thing about sailing and traveling.
Okay, I'm glad. Fuel Fire Garage says he likes how the screen's set up. First time I've seen a live stream like this. Oh, well, thanks. Hopefully I'll work out all the kinks, because it's not quite the way I wanted it, but whatever. This happens, but I'm glad you like it, so that's awesome. At least somebody is getting something out of it. Alan Loves Music says we'll have to go back to the beginning and see the full casting.
Yeah, so there's a couple a little bit of things. Yeah, pretty much, gosh. The plans, you might want to go back, but plans are a little bit unknown. Like we've mentioned, we want to get back to the boat as soon as possible. Ideally, keep cruising in the Caribbean. That's what we really want to keep doing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so hard with the coronavirus. We talked about it earlier, but it's it's just really difficult to kind of plan right now. But yeah, that's where we're hoping to plan. We're planning even though it's unplannable at this moment in time.
That's it. And yes, Alan sent us an email. I want to hear all about it. Yeah, black box or bottle box. We've been buying both of them.
Oh, you guys, you shipped the boat back to Port Dover. Big story to tell you. All right. Oh, that's the email. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely love to hear about it. That's.
We're going for an hour and a half.
Oh, geez. All right. Time flies when you're having fun. We normally like to keep these just to an hour, but apparently we've been on for an hour and a half. So if anybody has any last minute questions, feel free to write them in. If not, we're going to finish off the stream and say bye to all of you.
And really, for all the updates on what's going on, we're gonna, as you say, some of you might have noticed or not, everything on Facebook or Instagram, we try to keep all of the more up-to-date current stuff on there. So we'll be sharing little posts, little videos, and all those kind of things on those for sure as to what's going on and what are the plans, and as everything kind of revolves or changes, evolves. And for the videos, they'll keep coming, and we'll try to remember to put dates on them.
Yeah, that's we should make a note of that.
Yeah, I know.
But, yeah, everything's gonna keep going along as usual. The videos will always be there, and we'll be. I'm excited to show what's coming next. You know, we're learning how to sail without an engine, and that's just. It was a huge accomplishment, and we went to so many places that I never thought actually we would be able to get to even without an engine. I didn't even think it was possible to get through some of the cuts that we had gone through, and some of the places we saw, especially pre-COVID, because we were able to go on shore, were just amazing. So I'm excited to show you all that and all the cool underwater footage and stuff. So it's all coming.
Yeah, we didn't make it across the border. It was actually pretty easy as a Canadian.
Yeah, didn't really need to
quarantined.
Didn't need to do any sneaking at all. Just had to get stranded.
No ladders required.
Yeah. Didn't have to sneak, but we had to get stranded in Washington to make it happen.
And yeah,
go ahead.
And the Dismal Swamp. Just trying to wrap up a couple.
Oh, okay, cool.
Dismal Swamp was gorgeous. It might have been the start or end of our engine. Who knows?
Yeah, I really don't think that's what caused the problem. I think it was an ongoing
beautiful,
problem. But yeah, it was
super
awesome.
Happy we did it. It was gorgeous.
I'd do it again regardless.
Yeah.
And the year we went was some of the worst duckweed, supposedly, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So it's not always that bad. But yeah, it was super worth it.
Yeah, we've got 2 videos about it if you want to check those out.
Yeah, you bump bottom a few times. You got to be ready for that. But I mean, everything's
part of the adventure, right?
Yeah, everything's fixable. You know, I'm less concerned with damaging the boat more and more all the time because it's never fun, but you can fix almost anything. So
yeah. I guess thank you all for having been here with us, dealing with us for an hour and a half almost.
Yeah, and thanks for bearing with all the technical issues and everything, and really appreciate all of you.
Yeah, thank you for all the super chats, all the support, the likes, the shares, comments.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful. And everyone, stay safe.
Yeah,
and enjoy life.
Be careful out there, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next time.